Well, the new president's also making good on a promise to dismantle the government's protection of DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. The White House issued a memo placing all federal staff working on those initiatives on paid leave, with plans to fire them soon. DEI government trainings have been canceled as well. Well, that comes as Donald Trump lashed out at a Washington, D.C. bishop after she publicly asked him from the pulpit to have mercy on the country's immigrants and the LGBTQ community. Speaking at a national prayer service, Episcopal Bishop Budde said the president was scaring people. Later, on his social media platform, Trump called Bishop Budde nasty and demanded an apology. Karis Garland has the details.
A national prayer service is routine after an American president is inaugurated. Less routine, though, is for a bishop to address the new leader directly and make an appeal. On Tuesday, Budde urged Donald Trump to show mercy, specifically mentioning gay, lesbian, and transgender children who fear for their lives, as well as immigrants who are not criminals but pay taxes and are good neighbors.
I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land.
The president did not appear happy during the remarks.
They may not be citizens.
And when asked for a reaction later, he was dismissal of the service.
Not too exciting, was it? I didn't think it was a good service, no. Thank you very much.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
They can do much better.
Later, on his Truth Social platform, the president called Budde a radical left hardline Trump hater and said she and the church owed the public an apology. The bishop's comments came after Trump on Monday decreed that only two sexes, male and female, but not transgender, would be recognized. He also issued measures to suspend the arrival of asylum seekers and expel migrants in the country illegally. Budde has criticized Trump in the past, including in 2020 when police officers forcibly removed peaceful racial justice protesters so that Trump could take a photo outside a church holding a Bible. Budde said she was horrified by his use of the Holy Book for political purposes.
Next to the Middle East, and as the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas holds into a fourth day, Palestinians in Gaza are facing an absolutely apocalyptic landscape of devastation. 15 months of fighting have left mounds of rubble as far as the eye can see. But since the ceasefire began on Sunday, more than 2,400 humanitarian aid trucks have been able to enter the Gaza Strip. We're going to talk more about the humanitarian situation in Gaza with Nichola Jones now from the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. And Nichola, thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us. When you see these pictures, the needs seem to be absolutely catastrophic at the moment. What are your biggest priorities right now?
That's right. I think the footage that you've just shown there really underlines the reality of the situation that the people of Gaza find themselves in. In a devastating landscape like this, the challenges are huge for the people who are just clinging to survival right now. And just to break it down, when we speak about needs in Gaza in terms of healthcare and in terms of food and water, there's more than 2 million people in Gaza. So it's the equivalent really of every single person in Paris, for example, having lost either a loved one, a home, a job, a school, their livelihoods. Or a combination of all of those things. So the scale that we're facing is massive. Our priority as the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent is to support the work of the Palestine Red Crescent, whose volunteers and staff are on the ground, and they're focusing on healthcare, and they're focusing on trying to get the critical supplies that people need just to get by day. For example, food, water supplies, clothing, tarpaulins, tents, and blankets.
And Nichola, as you're speaking, we're seeing these very latest live pictures from Gaza of these trucks coming in with this aid. The problem is, in the past, there have been issues with looting, with violence surrounding deliveries in the past. Are we seeing anything like that in recent days?
As I understand it, at the moment, we've had no reports of looting, but the challenges that we face once trucks are able to move across from Egypt into Gaza is that, as you can see, the level of destruction is huge. So, for example, now the obstacles for us and all of the international sector are that roads have been destroyed, warehouses where we would have been able to store critical supplies previously have also been damaged and destroyed. There is no power, there's no electricity, there's very little fuel. So on the logistical side, once the aid is in Gaza, there is another set of challenges that we face to make sure that the people who need this support get it as soon as possible.
Indeed, and I imagine one of those big challenges, of course, is shelter. More than 70% of homes have been damaged or destroyed over the past 15 months. What's being done to help find people a safe place to live?
This is such an important point because until the ceasefire, there was no safe place for anyone in Gaza. Most people left their homes at the beginning of this conflict 15 months ago and were forced to move again and again and again in terms of trying to find somewhere safe. Many people have been sleeping just outside in rubble, on shattered glass, and in the remnants of residential buildings, and also in makeshift tents. So one of our priorities, and that of the whole international aid sector, is to get some form of shelter and protection for these people. People need to have tents, tarpaulins, just anything that can protect them from the elements, because the other aspect to all of this, quite apart from the devastation of the conflict itself, is that temperatures are dropping in Gaza at this time of year. The rain is falling and people are suffering as a result of that. That has big impacts on people's health and their ability to survive and protect their families. So that is another priority for us immediately.
It certainly is. And obviously all of these things are incredibly important at the moment. But there's another key thing here for millions of people. I mean, what about psychological aid? Is it too soon to try and set up help for people to deal with all the trauma of the past 15 months?
That's a really important point, because the Palestine Red Crescent, who's been responding to this conflict throughout the whole of the last 15 months, that has been one of their priorities. People have wounds here that are not visible to the naked eye. These are deep psychological wounds and trauma and emotional damage that has been wrought on them over the past 15 months. So what the Red Cross and Red Crescent is able to do is provide some level of counselling, of psychosocial support, and in some cases, safe spaces for people to just be together, grieve and process what's happened, particularly for children. You know, we have a very young population on average in Gaza, and those young people have suffered, a generational loss and trauma in the last 15 months. And the Red Crescent priority is also to try to find some support for them, because this will take a long, long time for people to even begin to heal from those deep psychological wounds.
And Nichola, as you know, it's difficult to see these pictures as we do see them here without having some sort of sense of urgency to help. I mean, if any of our viewers would like to help the situation in Gaza at the moment, what's the best thing to do?
The best thing for viewers to do, I understand it feels very overwhelming when you are watching these scenes unfold. There are emergency appeals that you can support in the Red Cross or Red Crescent where you are based and where you're watching from. The French Red Cross is appealing for funds if we're speaking to our viewers in France, but also the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent. We have our own emergency appeal that we can donate, that people can donate to rather on our website, and also to the Palestine Red Crescent itself. You can find all of those details online if people want to be empowered to donate. But I think one thing that is really important to the people of Gaza is the solidarity, is the fact that their stories are able to be heard and that people are sending their thoughts with them, and also calling on the international community more broadly to commit to a longer term investment in helping the recovery of Gaza and its people.
Nichola, thanks so much for that. Nichola Jones there from the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. Thanks so much.